Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. Leanne Monaghan is my guest tonight, and she wants to talk about a new seminar series that she's leading. She's a coach. She's a motivational speaker. She has a yoga and spa studio, and it's all about meeting the genius in you. Leanne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you.
My pleasure. So tell me, who's the genius in you and me?
Oh, I love this question. So when I first started to develop this brand, Meet the Genius in You, I had a few questions about that. And you know what, Brian? I had to go to the dictionary to actually see what a genius was. So it's an IQ of over 140. So clearly, I'm probably not in that category. But what I do know is by the definition of the power that we have to create using our mind, each and every one of us has the genius in us. We have a system built in. Like, for example, Brian, when you cut yourself, it's not the doctor that heals yourself, right? It's you. You heal yourself. So this system
Sometimes the
is
doctor's got to
built
put some
right
stitches
in.
in.
Well, yeah. That's true. That is true. That is true. Very true. But we have this genius system or ingenious system built right in, and it's to introduce people to the genius in them because it exists for every one of us. It's just that we get stuck, right? We get stuck in programs, we get stuck in limiting beliefs, we get stuck in patterns that hold us back.
Okay, so what is the program about? Trying to get us out of getting getting stuck?
Yes, exactly. So it all begins with belief, right? That's a word that we see in the Bible, in all of the religious studies. I don't even want to get into everyone, and also in psychology books. And it is the belief. So if you tap into that belief and that belief that you actually have this power within you, then we can start to talk. And then it's awareness of where is it that you are stuck? And then how can we override that program? Because at the heart of it all, what I believe to be true is we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Having a human experience. That's what I think. That's what I believe. It's, everyone is open to their own interpretation. But if you can accept that as an idea, or even accept the idea, if you think about the power of your body, did you know that it takes 33 seconds for the blood to go through hundreds of miles of passageways in your body, bringing nutrients to the cells, taking waste away in 33 seconds? That's one sweep. Like, that's a lot of power that we are working with. And if you stop and you think about that, then if I've got that much power in my body, then how can then I translate this to patterns, limiting beliefs, or habits that I have? I've got the power to override them. Because at the heart of it all, we're all perfect. That's what I believe.
At the heart of it all, we're all perfect.
Yeah, there's perfection that lies within each and every one of us. Now, I know I'm going to go with the objections right away. Well, what about the murderers? What about the terrorists? What about, all of the, people that maybe live on the other side of the tracks? And yes, I'm not going to be naive and think that that doesn't exist in the world. But I look at that and I think, what happened to you? What happened to you that made you go down this path? And
Sorry, I missed that. What are you saying?
okay, so Okay, sorry, Brian. I lost track there because we stopped the recording. My apologies. My apologies if this is messing you up. Sorry. Can you ask the question?
So, Leanne, I want to know, how do you get unstuck? I think that's really the issue. You say we're
Okay.
you say we're perfect, and you excused away or explained away, that there were some people that aren't perfect, the people across the tracks or the terrorists or the, whatever. But you're saying that we're perfect, and so therefore somehow we can get unstuck. How do we do that?
It's a very, very, very simple process. And I mean, I know that you've went to Harvard. You are a really smart cookie, Brian. So you know that it's all around us, right? And this energy is flowing to and through us. So the minute that it hits our conscious mind, we have the ability to choose our thoughts. We have the ability to accept or reject thoughts. So whenever these thoughts then come in, and then they come into the subconscious mind, this is where we get stuck. This is where the programs lie, the limiting beliefs, which I call BS, the patterns, the habits. So the programs lie in the subconscious mind. And it's the thinking mind that controls what goes into the subconscious mind, because the minute it hits the subconscious mind can only accept what you impress upon it. So think about it. There's a way that your family used to eat, and probably most of your food choices, if you think about it, went back generations. You think about people that have come from maybe generational welfare. It's a program. So the programs can be generational, or the programs can just be immediate. So once you understand that these are just programs, it's not who you are at the heart of who you are, at the essence, that's a better word. It's just a program. And guess what? In the computers, you can take out that virus program and install a new one. And that's the way that you start to get unstuck. You recognize the patterns that are holding you back, the limiting beliefs that are holding you back, or the habits that are holding you back. And then as you become aware of them, there's two ways that you can change these programs. It's either time, space, repetition, so repeating it over and over again, or bam, emotional impact. So, say somebody all of a sudden had a health scare, and then you can see them do a 180, and now they're eating clean, they're exercising, they're getting outside, getting their steps in, or whatever that is for them. But it was that bam, emotional impact that jolted them out of that program. And then once we recognize where the programs are, and we're starting to instill, like a computer, a new program into our subconscious mind, so the mind controls the body, then this starts to change how we feel in our body. So we're changing, as we would use in my world, like the vibration, or how you're vibrating, because we're all vibrating at a certain level or a frequency. And then as this becomes part of your molecular structure, then you start to have different behaviors. And then that's the cause. Then now we get into universal laws, cause and effect. So you just work on the cause, which is you, and the effect will take care of itself.
Okay, so I think a lot of people can accept and understand and appreciate the idea of a crisis, particularly a health crisis, as being a catalyst for a fairly major change. I guess the issue is a lot of us would like to change, would like to improve, would like to have a better life, but don't want to wait until a crisis comes. And so therefore, how do you get unstuck just in regular life? And that, I presume, is what your seminar is about. So let's take a break for some messages and come back and try to understand how you, with your seminar series and your speaking, are going to help people like me, people like you, regular people, get unstuck and change things before they are hit by a health crisis or some other catalyst that forces them to change. I guess that's the issue, being forced to change versus choosing to change. Stay with us, everyone. We're going to be back in just 2 minutes with Leanne Monaghan. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I wanted to reach out to Leanne Monaghan because an ad that she put on social media that spoke about meet the genius in you. Learn how to stop feeling stuck, awaken your genius, and thrive in life. And she calls herself a peak performance coach. So, Leanne, I wanted to find out, we were just talking about being forced to change versus choosing to change. If I came to your seminar and asked, introduce me to the genius in me and help me to stop the feeling that I'm stuck and awaken my genius so I can thrive in life, which sounds fantastic and exciting. How do I do that? How would you do that with me?
Okay. So first of all, we need to have a goal, right? Like a GPS, you need to have a destination. So I'm going to be using some quotes here from a book that we use a lot. It's called Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. So he was a plastic surgeon and back in the 60s, and he wrote this book. And so the first thing is that you need a goal. You need a target. So give me something that you'd like to change, Brian. Like, is it health? Is it just give me something?
I think like everyone, we'd like to get healthier, lose weight, get better in shape, better, be healthier.
Perfect. Okay. So the goal would be better health. Now, we need to be plugging into the goal. So what's happening, and it's almost like a low-grade infection that's below the surface that goes undetected. There's a program here. Lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. And maybe that program has been there since they were a teenager. All right. Or it's on the wagon, off the wagon. Or maybe it's eat well, don't eat well. So there's this pattern that is just below the surface. And I like to call it like a low-grade infection or your set point that's controlling the show. So, and it's just a program. You are stronger than that program, even if you've had it since you were a teenager.
What if I just love ice cream?
Well, you can have your ice cream too, Brian, but it's just, how much muscle mass do you have and how many times you're eating ice cream in a week, right? You can have everything in moderation. So you are very cute. I like that question. So think about it. It's just a program. So then we've got a destination in that we've plugged into our GPS that we want better health, that you are going to start to love to exercise. Exercise is now just part of your lifestyle. Okay. We know that this program has been running the show maybe since you were a teenager, on the wagon, off the wagon. So this is what we're dealing with. So we take that program that has been installed in your subconscious mind and we extract it. We just take it out. And then we start to build a new program. So it's with time, space, repetition. You just keep repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. So you're getting.
You mean time, space, repetition?
So time, space, repetition, it means that over time, and you keep repeating and connecting with your goal, that then you override that old program and you're now installing a new program, a new set point. This is my new part of my self-image. This is who I am. I
read this fascinating book once called, I think it was called Good Habits, Bad Habits, that said you can't get rid of a habit unless you replace it with another habit. And so what you got to do is find a bad habit and replace it with a good habit. Do you agree with that?
I do. Like, for examples, this is I like that idea. In my line of work, if somebody says, okay, I don't want to drink Coke anymore, and they don't replace it with a good habit, Coke will be replaced by iced tea. So Coke needs to be replaced by, for example, water. So you're absolutely right. Bad habit, drinking Coke full of sugar and aspartame or whatever else. Good habit, water. So then you're replacing it. And it's the same thing with when you're working with reprogramming yourself. program, and I don't want to label it bad or good. It's a program. Lose weight, gain weight, and now we're installing a new program. Exercise, don't exercise. We're installing a new program, but all the time we're plugged into that goal. And did you know that a torpedo fails its way to its target more than it's on course? Did you know that?
No, explain.
So whenever, like say a torpedo has a mark where it's supposed to go, like a target, right? So the torpedo, it will go off track and then it automatically course corrects and it gets back on track to its goal or destination of where it's going. So it's the same thing when you're installing a new program. You've got your goal and it's not going to be a nice smooth ride to get there. You're going to go off track and that's okay. It's part of the process. But the difference is when you're installing this new program, it's like course correct. I've got my goal. I'm going to get back on track. And, maybe in 4 or 5 days, boom, you get off track again. Perfect. That's okay. The awareness is there. I want to override this program. I know it's part of the process. I'm going to plug into my goal, course correct, and then you keep going forward. So does that help?
Lots of people, want this to happen, and it sounds like a simple thing. Just replace a bad habit with a good habit, or a program that you don't like with something that you do want.
Mm-hmm.
But the vast majority of us can't achieve it. So, what's the secret to your success in changing? How do you become a peak performance coach and get people to change these things?
You know what? That's a great question because a lot of people come in and they are so frustrated and they don't believe in themselves anymore. And what I do is I come in and I teach them how the mind actually works and get them to believe that they are more powerful than their program. And the whole thing is desire. Like, where are you on the desire meter, 10 being the highest? Where is your desire to move or to make this into a new program? Because willpower only lasts for so long. But that desire, as Napoleon Hill talks about in his book, Think and Grow Rich, maybe when people come to me, that it's just like a little amber, right, of desire or fire. And my job and my passion and my mission is to, feed that flame. So they really want it. They understand how the mind works. They know that they can achieve it if they really want it, and persistence, faith. And
Okay, so let's use a personal example if we could. So my father and my grandfather both died in their 60s, and they were reasonably healthy. But they both died in their 60s. So I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I've got a pretty good justification for why I don't want to follow in the footsteps of my father and my grandfather. So how do you build that desire in me? How do you get that passion in me?
Well, number one, you've got history there. So your purpose is bigger than you because there's that health history there. You know what you don't want. So that's perfect. So then what is it that you do want? So I'll come in and I'll focus over here. And then I will remind you, Brian, and I might say to you, and I know that you've got kids and you have the potential to be a grandparent, right? It's not just, oh, I don't want to have the same, 60 is going to be like my cutoff point. It's like, okay, let's move over here to the positive side of it, and then let's build in. So now what is your overriding purpose? Grandkids. It's my bigger why is my granddaughter. Why? Sometimes I get stuck too, and then I think, why am I doing this? I am, going to the gym. I'm doing all the things because I want to be able to pick her up. I want to be, Nanny Leanne, who can be the one in the playground that's, on the monkey bars with her, not just sitting there observing her. So, we would talk about these kind of things, and, So these are pretty powerful purposes. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that, and the negative is always somewhat motivating, but I'm a firm believer that the positive is even far more motivating. And so thinking about what it is you want rather than what it is you don't want,
Yeah.
is actually more helpful. And I have a gentleman that I've had on my show that talks about taking a mortgage deed and paid off in full, and stamping it on the bulletin board, or a picture of a healthy person running a marathon and putting it up, rather than an X over a fat person or an obese person. So it's the thinking about the inspiration of what can be rather than what you don't want. I think is helpful. So it'd be great to be a grandfather. Just today, I was in a meeting and someone spoke about their trip to the Serengeti and how incredible it was seeing all the animals in the Serengeti. And just 2 days ago, I was at the hockey game, and the people behind me were talking about going through Cambodia and going to what is it called, Kumar Wat, and Vietnam, and seeing the beaches, and then someone else was talking about the life in Cyprus on the beach. I want to travel. I want
Mhm.
the time to travel. And I've been on this hamster wheel for the last decades of my life, just trying to make money to pay a mortgage, and pay kids and tuition, and all that kind of stuff. And I'd like to have some time to travel, see the
Mhm.
world.
Yeah. And you need to be healthy to do that, right? You
Yeah.
need to be able to lift your suitcases up. You need to be able to walk and have joints that are mobile and lubricated. So there, I love that. So there, you're figuring out your own why you need to get healthy. And I'm
Okay. So you
liking
got to
this.
figure out that why.
Yeah, you
Um,
got to figure out a why. You've got to
want to
have
get
a
rid of the
goal.
program, and part of the program is just work hard all the time, and don't dedicate the time for yourself, because you got to just make money and put away for retirement and all this kind of stuff. So how do I change that program?
You know what? I think now there's being a shift in that hustle. You know, you and I are in the same age group, and that's what we were brought up with is, that hustle mentality. And like you just said, I got to pay a mortgage, I've got to do. And then you hit starts in the late 40s, 50s, 60, and then the health starts to take a hit. And I think I'm calling them kids, but younger people today are recognizing the flaw in that hustle mentality. So I think that I'm seeing a shift, that people are starting to take care of themselves in a better way because they're seeing it as an investment rather than something to do on the to-do list and I don't have time. I mean, you're in the financial world, so I think you can appreciate that. Like, to take the time is an investment that will pay back huge dividends whenever you get up to our age group.
Okay, so you got to have the why. You got
Yeah.
to start younger. What's the difference between willpower and desire that you mentioned?
Okay. There's a really great story, and it's in a book called U Squared, and it's Price Pritchard wrote it, and actually he was writing it when he was in the Millcroft Inn, just north of Toronto, and he was watching this fly, and this fly kept banging against the window, trying to get out, and he was using willpower. And then in the book it said, you could hear the wings starting to lose their power, and then eventually, the fly came to his demise. And then if he had to just look 10 feet away from him, the door was wide open and he could have just flown out. So willpower has a shelf life. That's willpower. you know um, People, when they come into the health and fitness industry, I mean, all of the gym owners know it, like 3 months max people are going to stay because they have the willpower in January, but willpower only lasts for so long. So the will versus willpower, and the will is also tied in with desire, that's really tapping into understanding how the mind works and that you can use that energy, which is available to every one of us, it's all around us, and how then to harness that energy to, and this is the definition that we use in power. And again, I'm quoting from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Power is organized effort, which means with our thinking, with our planning, with our actions, organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute their desire into a goal or into a result. So you've got that power. And I know that I really like your story about what happened at Harvard when you went in as a, 40-year-old and you won this award. That wasn't will, that was willpower. Like, think about it. You transmuted that desire and you made it into a goal, and then it came to fruition.
Yeah, and it wasn't 40, it was 30, but that's a
Oh, sorry.
28 or 29, by the way. But actually, um, if you remember the story, and thank you for remembering it, I actually had a crisis to kick me in the pants. And I
Mm.
do think often getting that crisis is really helpful. And it's that old Chinese adage of crisis and opportunity go hand in hand. So I think that the key that you've talked about is not waiting for the crisis, not waiting for that catalyst, deciding what it is that you want to change, and having the willpower, the desire to change it, because you want to change it, not because you're forced to change it. And I think that's wonderful, and that's a great objective. If people want to avail themselves of your seminar, how and or follow you, how's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the seminars are up on Eventbrite. I'm doing one on November the 19th in Georgetown, and I'm doing one on November the 20th in Oakville at Staples Studio. People can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's my name, Leanne Monaghan. You can look me up that way. And yeah, I have brick and mortar, and we've been in business now for 20 years. So it's called Staying Alive Fitness because I am of that vintage.
Staying Alive Fitness. And where is it?
Staying Alive. So you can email us there at Staying Alive Fitness.
Where is
And
Staying Alive Fitness?
it's in Acton.
It's in Acton. It's worth the drive to Acton to go to Staying Alive Fitness.
Oh, it's worth the drive to Staying Alive, Brian. I've rebranded that that little jingle. It's worth the drive to Staying Alive. Yeah.
Leanne, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And I got to tell you, the ads that you put up on social media are very inspirational for people that have a desire to change and do want to change. So whether you use Leanne's seminars, or whether you just follow her and get some motivation from her, or whether you just listen to this broadcast and think about those things that you want to change, I think it's a great objective. And changing before you're forced to change makes a ton of sense. Leanne Monaghan, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for the opportunity.
We're going to take a break and come back with another guest in just 2 minutes, talking about meditation and how that is something to help you ground yourself and figure out what you really want in life. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes.